Forests cover about 30% of the world's land area. They play a vital role in the water cycle and are home to most of the world's biodiversity. More than 1 in 6 people on the planet depend directly on forests for their livelihoods. Indigenous peoples and local communities living in the forests have done most to protect them. But many do not have secure rights to the land they live on, which means forests are under more and more pressure. Forests are being destroyed at an alarming rate. Industrialised countries have destroyed most of their forests already, and pressure from growing global consumption is now driving deforestation in the south. Forests are being logged and converted into agriculture plots and plantations, producing feed for the meat industry and being cleared for mining. This forest destruction is displacing forest-dependent peoples, often destroying their livelihoods and resulting in human rights abuses. Deforestation is also one of the main causes of climate change. Although the majority of global carbon dioxide emissions come from burning fossil fuels, cutting down trees also contributes to carbon dioxide accumulating in the atmosphere. When forests are burnt or chopped down, the carbon they had been storing is released back into the atmosphere. In order to reduce deforestation, it is first necessary to know what's causing it. Global consumption of forest and agricultural products is one of the main drivers of deforestation. 70% of previously forested land in the Amazon is occupied by cattle pastures. Paper supplies, processed foods, and many other things for sale in high streets and supermarkets directly or indirectly cause deforestation. And that creates pressure on land in the global south, which is increasing deforestation. Deforestation is also driven by a lack of clarity about who owns the forest. Poor governance leads to bad government land use policies, often fed by high levels of corruption. How can we stop this? To tackle deforestation, you need to tackle the causes of deforestation. But the United Nations and the World Bank have something else in mind. Following global concern about the effect of deforestation on climate change, the United Nations and World Bank began pushing REDD, a solution to reduce the emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. The present focus of REDD is to get money for forest protection by quantifying emissions reductions from not cutting down forests, and then selling forest carbon credits on a carbon market. Polluting companies or industrial countries who need to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions will then buy these credits so they can continue emitting greenhouse gases. This means lots of profit for middlemen and traders, but very little for the people who live in the forest. In order to see whether their plan for reducing deforestation through REDD would work, we should start by looking at how it deals with the causes of deforestation. Does it strengthen the land rights of indigenous peoples and local communities who have historically protected their forests? No. Although REDD could, in theory, do this, in practice, by increasing the value of forests, the promise of REDD money has meant that forests are much more under threat of governments taking state ownership of forest lands and erasing the chance for communities to have their land rights recognised. Any solution to deforestation that disrespects the rights of local peoples is not only unjust, it is also deeply ineffective. Reducing deforestation will require unsustainable consumption of meat, fuel, food and fibre to be reduced. This has to be an initiative of the global north and must be prioritised in government policies. It cannot be a shortcut or dealt with by someone else, somewhere else. The best way to save forests is to respect forest people's rights to collectively held land. So rather than trying to tackle the problem by focusing on counting carbon and selling it, solutions must focus on removing the pressure on forests. REDD is currently not doing that, and so risks creating more problems than it solves. Any attempt to reduce deforestation must work with, not against, forest peoples. The first step must be to ensure that forest communities have secure rights to the land they live on. It will require political will and national consultative processes. But it is the best chance we have to achieve a just, long-term reduction in deforestation.